this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide complex numbers. But first, allow me to remind you about the imaginary number I that is defined as the square root of -1, from which we can say that the I square is -1. So the complex number in general is a plus ib, where a is the real part and b is the imaginary part. Let's start identifying the real and imaginary and classifying the sets. The real part is 6 for number 12, and the imaginary part is 1, the number that's multiplied by I. And this number belongs to the complex set. For number 13, for example, the real part is 0, and the imaginary is square root 17. And this number by default belongs to the complex set, and this is a pure imaginary, so it belongs to the imaginary set. For number 16, the real is 13 and the imaginary is 0. We don't have I, and it belongs to the complex set by default and to the real set because we don't have I. How to add complex numbers? The addition between the brackets, it doesn't mean anything. So 4 plus 6i plus 7 plus 3i. Adding like terms, we have 4 and 7, 11. We have 6i and 3i, 9i. Similarly for the other number, 5 minus 2i plus 2 minus i. The real parts, 5 plus 2 is 7. The imaginary negative 2i or negative I is negative 3i. How to subtract two complex numbers? Because of the negative, I'm gonna change the signs of the second bracket. So 2 plus 3i minus 5 minus 4i. Combining like terms, negative 3 and negative I. The next number, 6 minus I, negative 8 and plus 2i. The real 6 minus 8 is negative 2. The imaginary negative I plus 2i is plus I. Multiplying complex numbers, I'm gonna do FOIL or the butterfly. So 1 multiplied by 4 is 4, plus 1 times 3i is 3i. 2i multiplied by 4 is plus 8i. 2 times 3, 6. I times I is I square. Combining like terms, This is 4 plus 3i and 8i is 11i. Knowing that the I square is -1 multiplied by 6 is -6. Combine again -2 plus 11i. For the next number, we're gonna do the same. -5 times -15 plus -5 times 2, 10i. -I times 3 is +3i. I times negative is +2i square. This is 15 plus 13i. Simply change the sign, it becomes -2. Combine again, 15 minus 2, 13 plus 13i. Division of complex numbers. In math, in the denominator is not allowed to have I. So we need to get rid of I. So I'm gonna multiply by a fraction, which is the conjugate of 3 minus I. And the conjugate is the same with opposite sign in the middle. So I will be multiplying by 3 plus I up and down. So the question turns into 5i multiplied by 3 plus I, 3 minus I multiplied by 3 plus I. FOIL method, 5 times 3 is 15i, 5i times I is 5i square. In the denominator, we have special product. Instead of applying fall or butterfly, I'm gonna multiply the first by the first and the second by the second. So 3 times 3 is 9, minus I times plus I is minus I square. Converting I square into -1, it will be 15i minus 5i, minus 5, because I square is -1, and down we have 9 plus 1. So it's gonna be reorder -5 plus 15i divided by 10. We can simplify each by 5. So divide by 5 -1, divide by 5 3, divide by 5 2. So the final answer is -1 plus 3i divided by 2. Next number is the same. The conjugate of 1 plus I is 1 minus I. So in the numerator we'll have 2 plus I multiplied by 1 minus I. In the denominator 1 plus I multiplied by 1 minus I. Two times 1 minus 2 times I times 1, and I times -I is -I square. In the denominator, we multiply the first by the first and the second by the second. 1 times 1 is 1 minus I square. This is 2, combining like terms, -2i plus I is -I, and this -I square turns into plus 1 divided by 1, also plus 1. So it will be 2 plus 1, 3, minus I divided by 2. You can leave the answer like this. Some, they prefer to split like 3 divided by 2 minus I divided by 2, or 1 over 2I.